Poor kid. Help, there it is. Welcome back to another School Principal Reacts. I'm doing yet another episode of The Simpsons. This continues to be a great source for school-related content. I'm really enjoying the series. This episode is called A Test Before Trying, season number 24 of The Simpsons. So now we're talking about roughly 2011, 2012. I didn't realize before that The Simpsons went quite that long. But it did. This one's called A Test Before Trying. I don't know much about it. I see in this shot here, they've got the old Scantron is how I knew them, with the ABCD, and they spelled out help. But I gather this one is going to be about formal test taking. Again, there was one episode, if you haven't seen it, that I did about that, kind of poking fun at standardized testing, which is a reality in schools. Just as a reminder, if you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Children, we can no longer afford to use anything electric. However, we will still be able to watch today's film thanks to the magic of potato power.
Oh,
Emergency meeting in the faculty lounge, BYOB.
Well, class, I don't mind leaving you because one of you is my spy.
You said you weren't gonna tell. Oh, wait, you didn't.
so a few things here. The potato thing, I know I'm not an expert on that, but I believe that you can do that to a degree. Now, could it power a projector? Probably not. Yeah, I saw the superintendent come in and say there's an emergency meeting. They're not going to do that. You're not going to pull a teacher out of class for a meeting, or if you do, you're going to have someone stand in for them. I have had to do that before, not for a faculty meeting, but for maybe meeting with a parent that was particularly important, or some other meeting that is somewhat urgent. You're going to find someone else to stand in for them. You're not going to say, oh, one of the students is a spy, so I can just leave all the students alone. Doesn't happen that way.
So no one knows who the Millhouse is.
The district can't afford to keep every school open, so all the kids will take a standardized test, and whichever school scores the lowest will be closed forever.
So you're saying if our kids don't pass this test, you're shutting down Springfield Elementary?
I don't teach to the test. I teach them to dodge balls, things they can use in life.
How is that useful? Ow!
And here the superintendent says, hey, we can't keep all the schools open, so what we're going to do is we're going to give everybody a standardized test to determine which school to close. No. And that, no. Now, the only part of that that is true is that, yeah, sometimes schools do consolidate. I did talk about that in my Saved by the Bell episode, where that was kind of a central theme to the episode. So, yes, schools do consolidate and schools do close. They do close, but they don't close because of poor academic performance. There are plenty of schools that do struggle with that, and they don't close. Now, they might try to improve. They might even change the principal or change the superintendent, or even have new school board elections, or change the teachers. I've even heard of schools that have really started from scratch. In other words, you get rid of everybody, and even if you work there, you have to reapply for your own job and re-interview, and you may or may not be hired back. But you don't just close the school. That's not going to happen. If a school closes, it's going to be either because it's very, very old and a new one is being built, or I have also heard of maybe you close 2 old schools and build one larger new one to consolidate them. That can save money for the district, and depending on how you lay it out, it might be better, depending on how the new school is put together. So schools do close all the time. It does happen, but not for this. And you certainly would never give a standardized test out to determine which one closes. Nah, that part's not true. But schools do close sometimes. Oh no. You hear the music. I laugh because, again, classic Simpsons, they all this stuff is not true to life, but it has some truth to it. So you saw that dark van pull up with the seal, Department of Standardized Testing, or whatever it said. It almost looked like an FBI van, and these people are super serious, and they all have dark suits. Yeah. So individuals from the State Department of Education do visit your schools sometimes. So I think that's kind of what this is poking fun at. Now, nowadays, people who do visit schools, even people who are responsible for ensuring that testing procedures are followed, they know that this image exists. And so they kind of go the other way. Yes, they do their job, but they are work very hard to try to be friendly and helpful. And the reality is, even people like this, I can't wait to see what they do, but they're there to make sure that no cheating happens and that the test is done correctly. I mentioned in another episode that there was a big cheating scandal years ago in Atlanta, and some school principals actually went to jail over it. It was really crazy. So test security is a really, really big deal. But even people who are responsible for that, or anybody from the Georgia Department of Education, we love working with them. No, I'm not just saying that. When they come, it's usually to help you in some way. They are really not out to get you. They're there to help you. Even people who deal with test security, they're there to keep you out of trouble and make sure that you're following all of the testing procedures. But I can't wait to see what they're going to do here. He's scared.
The proctors are here. Their leader seems to be a woman.
Catalog poses.
All right. So they called them the proctors. So for tests, you are going to have a test examiner and proctors. Proctors are just people who, it depends on where you are. That term might mean something slightly different. So in a very general sense, a proctor for an exam is just the person who reads the script of the exam. Hello, today we're going to take this test, and gives you the test directions. Here in Georgia, sometimes you'll have a test examiner, which is actually that person, the person who reads everything to you and facilitates the test. And then proctors are just people who walk around and help the test examiner and just kind of you literally just walk around and watch and make sure that the testing parameters are being followed and there's nothing going on that's going to be unusual or reported as some sort of abnormality in the test, because those things are reported too. You have to say, hey, this happened, this was unusual, or we were interrupted, or whatever the case may be. Also, in certain places, it's almost like an accountability thing. You have more than one person in there, there's a lower likelihood of shenanigans happening, cheating. So I can't wait to see what these proctors do. It's like they're the FBI or something, but let's see. Yeah, poor kids. And like I said in the other video that was about testing, test anxiety is a real thing. If you know, hey, this test is going to determine whether or not I go to the next grade. Every state's different as far as what these tests mean. Here in Georgia, we do use that as a factor when determining whether students go to the next grade. It's not the be all end all, but it is very important. And it's usually also a portion of the student's grade, both in middle school and high school. I'm not sure how it works at the elementary school, but yeah, it's hyperbole, I know, but this is real stuff. Test anxiety is a real issue. Oh, that brings me back. This brings me back. Nowadays, most testing is done on computers, and you don't have this. I mentioned in the other video, I remember always being given this really serious talk about, okay, here's how you bubble the oval in, and here's how you do it where, the computer reads it correctly. And if you don't, you're going to fail the test. They didn't say that, but it's almost like it made you really scared. And so they're poking fun at it here. This is exactly what it said. I remember Back in the day, the tests were like this, where it was we call it a Scantron, A, B, C, D, and you just marked all of your answers there. And it always said this: fill in the oval completely. Do not, it didn't say it in bold underline like that, but you got the sense, oh, if I make a stray mark, I'll fail the entire grade because I made a stray mark. I better be really, really careful. So you see these kids worrying about it. When I saw this, that really took me back. Poor kid. Help, there it is. Oh, kids fell out, and then the janitor just swept them up like it was no big deal. Yeah, that's what happens. I mentioned in the other video that during an AP exam one time, I had a kid. If you know the advanced placement exams by College Board, you're not supposed to get up at all. And there's a very strict procedure, and there's people that have to take you to the bathroom or whatever. And you're not supposed to even get up to hand your paper in. They come to you, and it's a very, strict process, or your test can be invalidated. You won't get college credit. This kid got so freaked out. He got up from his test. He didn't finish it. He just said, I'm done. I'm done. He just decided he was done. And so he got up, went right up to the test examiner, which you're not supposed to do, handed in his test and said, I'm done. And not only did he do that, but he walked right out of the testing room and right off the school campus. We had to go find him. It was a huge deal. Poor kid. But yeah, test anxiety is very real.
When will they finish grading those tests?
I hate waiting. That's why I hate risotto.
Even mushroom risotto?
What do you think?
And during testing days, if you're the principal, there's not a whole lot to do during the test. Normally, you'd have all these different tasks related to students and teachers, and you always have something to do as a principal. I mean, that's never a problem. But think about it. If your entire school is testing, every single student and every single teacher and really everybody in the building is going to be focused on that during the actual test administration. So what do? It's not really a whole lot for you to do, at least concerning the test. You just kind of wait for it to be over. Or what I usually do is there's some other thing that I need to catch up on. There's a million different things that aren't even related to instruction that you have to do as a principal. I usually focus on those things, and then the test is over, and then we go back to the daily schedule.
So, how'd we do?
Not as bad as the worst school in the state.
Oh, thank God.
You did worse than the worst school in the state, which now makes this school the worst school in the state.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Number one, the tests take time to be processed. Okay. I imagine back in the day when they were doing it on Scantrons like this, it may have been even slower than it is today. Today, we get them back relatively quickly, but not right after the test is over. That just doesn't happen. There's a period where the tests are processed, and I don't actually know what that looks like. The Georgia Department of Education does that, but there's going to be a period of review, and then you are sent the results back to your school, and that's a very important time. You get to see how did we do, and again. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about testing out there. Is testing necessary? Yes, because in the end, it's one of the ways. It's not the only way, but it's one of the ways we know. Okay, how did students do? That's the reason for testing. Did they do well? Did they not? Is it the be all end all most important thing that people make it out to be sometimes? No, it's not. The most important thing is that the students learn, even if their test is not reflective of that learning. Like I said, test anxiety is very real. I've seen it where students will not do quite so well on test day because either they were freaked out or they stayed up all night on their phone or they didn't eat breakfast. Those things are very important. So, and then the other thing is she says she compares them to the worst school in the state, and they do worse than the worst school in the state. So now they're the worst. So it's different in every state. The state Department of Education in each state tends to decide how testing is done, how they're going to analyze the data and what metrics they're going to use. In Georgia, the one I always hear is the state average. Here's the state average, here's your school. And so you always want to try to be above that state average at least. There's a lot of different metrics that they have, but that's the one that, not the worst school, but the state average. You're above the state average, you're below the state average, or state average is 80 on this particular test, and your students are making it, whatever it is. That's always the thing. Now, no matter where your school falls, you always want to grow. If your school is not doing well, if you grew and they're still not doing well, but they grew, that's what you want. You want that consistent growth, because if that keeps up, your school won't be, well, the worst school anymore. You'll be higher up on that list.
Why did you say that to us in the meanest way you could?
To show you that there's no way out, except...
Except what?
No, I meant you should accept your terrible fate.
That's horrible. And I'll say this again, this image that they're presenting of the proctors, whoever they are, I think they're trying to poke fun at the State Department of Education people, because when they come to your school, some teachers they're unnerved by that. They don't know why they're there. They're like, oh, is everything okay? What's the problem? People from the Department of Education are there to help you with something. They're not there to get you. They're very upfront about that. Even if you have issues that you're trying to work on, they're there to help you work on it, or to point out, hey, this is what you need to focus on, and by the way, here's some help that we have to help you out. Here's some classes. Here's some experts that can come in and help you. So they are there to help you. I do believe that. I won't lie though. I have seen and actually heard a principal, I'll never forget it. One of these people came, and it's almost like they had a code. So this principal came on the intercom. I couldn't believe it. And they did it more than once. Whenever someone from either the district office, because this was a larger school district, or the State Department of Education would come in, regardless of why they were there, she would come on the intercom to the entire school, and she would say, I can't remember the exact words, but something like, hello, friends, we have some visitors in the building. Please make sure and welcome them into the building and have a great day. And I don't know this for sure, but I feel like that was probably a code for, hey, watch out. We've got district people or State Department of Education members here. You better watch out. It was some kind of twisted code. So, yeah, not best practice.
This place is worse than the elementary school in prison. This student filled in everything but the ovals.
So a couple of things. This is funny. Look, he filled in everything except the ovals. Never seen that before. And she mentioned schools in prison. Yeah, those do exist. So, for instance, if you're in what's known as a juvenile detention center, Georgia law, it's different in every state, but Georgia law says that every single student under age 16 must be in school, no matter what. It doesn't say if you're in prison, you don't have to go to school. That's not it. So they do have schools for people who are in detention centers or even prisons. They have teachers that go out there and they teach. So, yeah, there's truth there.
In art school, he'd be a genius.
This isn't an art school.
We tried to have ourselves accredited as one, but no one here could draw the pirate. Children, groundskeeper Willie will direct you to your new school district. Any correlation
Waverly
to your
Hills.
talents, needs, or friends is completely coincidental.
Sherry, you're going to West Ogdenville. Terry, North Haverbrook.
But we've never been separated. I'm not sure we can even
That
live
wouldn't happen.
apart.
like
Stop
they
your
can't.
whinging. It's not like you're losing a rake or a backhoe. Nelson, you're off to Arkham Elementary School for the
Arkham.
criminally insane.
like from Batman. What?
Well, I'm glad you're not upset. All my extra credit points are like frequent flyer miles on a bankrupt airline. Hey, don't blame me. I didn't even take the test. You didn't? Is there no limit to your disrespect? I had something better to do.
What?
Driving you crazy instead of pulling off your legs. I've really matured.
Wait a minute. If you take the test now, your score could raise the average and save the school. Dr. Clarkson, one student still hasn't taken the test.
Oh, let it be Martin. Let it be Martin.
It's Bart.
Oh.
I have an aunt named Hope. Perhaps you'd like to kill her as well.
Bart will take his
Killed
exam
his hope.
first thing tomorrow morning.
Bart, I'm begging you to try and study.
When I think begging, I don't imagine someone standing up. Sorry, I can't grant a favor to someone I don't respect anymore.
You can spin in my chair.
Whee!
Spinner! Slow down.
And I'll mention something. I was talking to some teachers a while back about this, where, for older students, they tend to respond to, hey, let's get you your diploma. High school diploma is very important. It allows you to, earn more money in most cases and get a good job. You need it, for whatever you want to do. And they'll respond to that. Or, you want to play sports, you have to have good grades, and they'll respond to that. Some kids are like, they offered him all these things, like, I don't care. And then he's like, you can sit in my chair. Okay, all right, I'll do it. Sometimes that does happen. It's like, hey kid, don't you care about your future? You want to go on to have a good job. I'm like, whatever. It's like, well, I'll give you some candy. Okay. So yeah, there's some truth to that also. Here we go. Oh, they all want him to do well because their fate depends on him.
Pass the test and your lunch money is yours. I'm a kid you've never seen, and I speak for all the kids you've never seen. Do it, man, or you'll never see us again.
Principal Skinner, could you help me sharpen this pencil?
Well, I guess a little circular grinding might relax me.
I can't do this. I'm not ready.
You really didn't study?
Well, I slept on my books, so I might have gotten something through osmosis.
So, you know what osmosis is?
Pajamas?
Let me make this crystal clear to you, Simpson. If you don't pass this test, it will destroy the school.
It says, we believe in you, Lisa's brother, not even Bart. Funny.
Our entire school riding on that coffee can head of yours. We've got to get you more time to study. But how?
Pull the fire alarm. I'd do it, but everyone's looking at me.
What to do? What to do? Don't do it, Seymour. You've never broken school rules, ever.
You wimp.
Children, remain calm. Find your disaster buddy, which is different from your lab partner, but may be the same as your lunchroom buddy.
Well. Looks like Mr. Vanilla just grew some chocolate chips.
Save your analogies for the analogy portion of the exam. About your time, boy. Don't blow it.
Well, I won't. I'm going to ignore everything else on my schedule.
Pass this test, and the eggs are on me.
They will be, Seymour. They will be. Lisa, I want to pass that test, but I need your help. I have all sorts of problems. Lack of attention. I'm afraid of ovals. I only know 24 letters. Don't you fall asleep on me. It's hopeless. I can't make up for 10 years of goofing off in one day. I need
True.
2 days.
2
The
days.
thing is, it's more important to know how to take a test than knowing what's on it. So, do the ones you know first. If you don't know one, guess B and move on. Now, what is the capital of Massachusetts? B. Very good.
There's some truth here. Test strategies is a thing. So, there's no magic formula. The old every answer is C, or C is the answer, more of the time. There's nothing to that. But testing strategies is a real thing, going through the entire test, skipping the ones you have no clue about, doing the ones you know first, taking educated guesses, spending more time on ones you think you're closer about. Testing strategies are a real thing. So yeah, Lisa's right here. I don't know about the guessing B part. All right, it's time.
Okay, this is it. Do or die. Oh, will you stop that?
It says Faber versus Ticonderoga, which number 2 is number 1. She's reading like a magazine about pencils because she's just so obsessed with testing that that's all she cares about. There's no one like that.
If you have to guess, guess B.
No.
Not every question.
The second that boy fails, we're knocking down this school.
Please have a little faith.
I hear you, Seymour. Start the upswing!
Oh.
The least common blood type is A, B, B, A, C, A, B, D, O, go!
10 more seconds.
No.
And the last answer, C,
This is the bug.
is correct. Congratulations, you made it by 1.
That'll do, Bug. That'll do.
Bug saved him.
He passed!
Stop that ball!
Whoops.
Now your mom can see you work from her house.
Seymour, stop slouching.
I'm not sure if you gave my son any extra help, but if you did, thank you.
Perhaps this was a test of my humanity. A test I like to think I passed.
Would you like to have coffee or dinner or just talk?
None of the above. Testward, ho!
The big giant hole in his office.
Is this Wilson Elementary?
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave the episode right there. These last few have been really interesting because the things usually in my first few episodes of The Simpsons, there'd be 1 or 2 little things that, yeah, that I've seen that happen. But lately it's been like almost everything in there is at least in some way linked to things that happen in real life, but they're just taking it to some insane level. This Department of Standardized Testing, that doesn't exist. Every local school district is responsible for its own testing and assessment. Now, they do have to follow the rules set up by the Department of Education, which are enforced. And I mentioned in another episode the Code of Ethics for educators. Every state's going to have something like that, and test security is part of that. So you can get in really big trouble for deliberately cheating or just not doing what you're supposed to do or not taking it seriously. But they keep poking fun at the teaching to the test. It's not really about that, or shouldn't be about that. It's more important that students learn. But testing will probably be around with us for the foreseeable future because it's one of several different ways that we know that students learned. And so that I don't see that going away anytime soon. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. There's a lot to talk about here. Let me know in the comments if there are any other episodes you'd like me to take a look at or any other content. I love getting those comments. And once again, just a reminder to consider subscribing to the channel. This has been School Principal Reacts. Thanks for watching.